Just when you thought the WNBA could not be a bigger joke, and we've had so much happen, I haven't even had a chance to talk about the 30th anniversary print that's coming out that left Caitlin Clark off. A total clown show. Kathy Engelberg, paint yourself up. Put the wig on, Ronald McDonald style. I wouldn't call you the Joker. The Joker was cool. Kathy Engelberg, total joke.
The WNBA had an opportunity last night, not just to suspend Alyssa Thomas for what the footage documents, to send a message to every player, every coaching staff, every fan base, every broadcast partner, and every mainstream sports media voice that has been watching the pattern of physical targeting around Clark develop across 3 seasons, that the league understands what is at stake and is willing to act proportionally to protect it. They handed down 1 game, but before we even get to the suspension conversation, this video opens with something that the accountability conversation has not yet fully absorbed, because the Thomas incident dominated the news cycle and the 30th anniversary poster decision arrived at almost the same moment. The WNBA published a commemorative 30th anniversary print and Caitlin Clark is not on it. Paige Beckers is on it. Angel Reese is on it. Clark, the player who moved road games to bigger arenas to accommodate the fans who showed up specifically to see her, the player whose presence transformed the commercial trajectory of the league before she played her first professional minute, the player whose TV games double the ratings of the best player in the league's history, is not on the 30th anniversary commemorative print. These 2 things, the 1-game suspension and the 30th anniversary omission, did not arrive on the same day by coincidence. They arrived on the same day because they are both expressions of the same institutional orientation toward a player who has been the most important commercial development in this league's history, and who the league continues to treat as a problem to be managed rather than an asset to be protected. Kathy Engelberg put the wig on Ronald McDonald's style is hyperbole. The 30th anniversary poster and the 1-game suspension are not.
As opposed to sending a real statement, I'm talking 10 games, 20 games, a massive fine. They have handed down a 1-game suspension to Alyssa Thomas. This league is not serious at all. And as much as I enjoy watching Caitlin Clark play, you know, she could go play overseas, and we would find a streaming service to watch it on. Caitlin Clark, go to Project B, or is Alyssa Thomas going there? She may already be signed to Project B. Go somewhere.
Let us be honest about what a 1-game suspension for fist to the throat of the most commercially significant player in the league's history actually communicates. It communicates that the institutional cost of targeting Caitlin Clark with documented, footage-confirmed flagrant 2-level contact is 1 missed game against the Toronto Tempo. That is the calculation every player in this league now has available to make. Every coaching staff, every player who watches this sport and understands competitive dynamics, the deterrence value of the consequence that the WNBA has attached to this specific category of physical conduct is 1 game. The 10 games, 20 games framing in this clip is not an emotional overcorrection to an upsetting situation. It is the minimum suspension length that would credibly communicate to the league that the institutional cost of this kind of contact is high enough to function as an actual deterrent rather than a mild inconvenience. The Roger Goodell and Deshaun Watson comparison is the most analytically precise point this clip makes about what institutional accountability actually looks like when a commissioner takes the deterrence function of discipline seriously. Goodell looked at a 6-game suspension and it's available, they have the commercial stakes available, they have the mainstream media response, the Colin Cowherd response, the Boomer Esiason response, the Dan Patrick response, all telling them in real time that the basketball world is watching what they do here. 1 game is what they chose. The league is not serious is the only honest conclusion the 1-game consequence supports.
Colin Cowherd today.
They just keep driving into a wall at full speed with Caitlin Clark. They now have a commemorative poster of 30 years of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's not on it. And it's not just like an ode to the veterans that started the league. Paige Beckers and Angel Reese are on it. And Caitlin Clark's not. You guys, when she broke into the league, you moved her road games to bigger arenas to accommodate the fans. You were flying the last 6 rows of Southwest Airlines until she made such an impact, you transitioned, pivoted to private jets. And she's not on the 30-year poster. But Paige Beckers and Angel Reese are. What? I mean, recently there were TV games. Hers got double the rating of Asia Wilson, the best player in the league, the 3-time champ and the 4-time MVP. Double the rating.
The 30th anniversary poster and the 1-game suspension arriving on the same day is the most complete single-day documentation of the WNBA's institutional orientation toward Caitlin Clark that this season has produced. Colin Cowherd described it as driving into a wall at full speed, and he is not wrong. The wall is the commercial reality that this league's own data confirms every time Clark plays and every time she does not play. The attendance numbers, in relation to the league's history. Paige Beckers is on the poster. Beckers is in her 2nd year. Angel Reese is on the poster. Both of them belong in the conversation about the league's present and future. Clark is not on the poster. This is the player who arrived in the league and immediately produced the commercial transformation that the anniversary poster is implicitly celebrating by marking the league's 30th year as a milestone worth commemorating. Road games moved to bigger arenas. Southwest Airlines flights replaced by private jets. TV ratings that doubled the league's best player. A CBA that the league's own communications have described as historic. All of it commercially anchored to a player who is not on the commemorative print celebrating the anniversary of the league she transformed. The older golfers and Tiger Woods comparison is the most useful historical parallel this clip introduces. Established players initially resented the attention, coverage, and commercial opportunities that Woods created. Then the purses went up and they got over it quickly. Because the commercial benefits of Woods' presence were distributed broadly enough that resentment became economically irrational. The WNBA players whose commercial opportunities have expanded because of Clark's presence have not arrived at the same calculation. The poster is the evidence. The 1-game suspension is the evidence. 3 seasons of documented physical targeting is the evidence. Paranoid, weird, insular league. The poster and the suspension arrived on the same day. The comment section already understands what both of them together represent.
If I were Caitlin Clark, I would seriously consider going to play overseas somewhere and get the royal treatment and get real money.
From the Saudis?
From somewhere. I mean, there's international.
She can't go to the Saudis.
Well, she can't go to the Russians either, as we saw that, Brittany Griner got stuck there.
Boomer Esiason said it on nationally televised New York radio, CBS Sports Network, Morning Drive. The kind of platform that reaches audiences who have not been following the Clark situation closely and who process what they hear from Boomer as credible mainstream sports analysis rather than fan advocacy. He said she is a straight white basketball player and she is not being treated with any sort of respect whatsoever. That sentence exists now in the public record of mainstream sports media commentary about at the center of this story that the institutional environment she is operating within does not merit her continued presence within it. The Putin in Russia comparison is deployed for comedic effect, but it makes a serious point. Clark plays in Russia and Alyssa Thomas puts a fist in her throat, and the institutional response involves considerably more consequence than 1 game. That is not a compliment to Russia. It is a specific and cutting observation about the relative seriousness with which different sports governing bodies treat the physical safety of their most commercially significant players. The petty jealousy characterization from Boomer is the mainstream acknowledgement of what independent analysis and fan observation have been documenting all season. The resistance to Clark's commercial presence is not competitive. It is personal. It is the specific emotional dynamic that produces a 30th anniversary poster without her name on it and a 1-game suspension for fist to the throat contact. She is not being treated with any sort of respect whatsoever. Boomer said it on New York radio to a national audience. The WNBA's institutional response to what he said, which is to say the absence of any institutional response, is itself a communication about how the league processes mainstream criticism of its treatment of its most important player. No sugarcoating. He came right out and said it. The comment section is going to have a lot to say about every word of it. 1 game, a 30th anniversary poster without her name on it. Boomer Esiason calling for her to go overseas on national television. Colin Cowherd saying the league keeps driving into a wall at full speed. Dan Patrick slamming the treatment. Every mainstream sports voice in America arriving at the same conclusion about the same institutional failure on the same day. And the WNBA's response to all of it is one game, not 10, not 20. Not the kind of suspension that Roger Goodell reached for when he looked at an arbitrator's decision and said this does not send the right message. One game. Thomas sits out against Toronto on June 27th and comes back. The deterrence value of that consequence is the number one. One missed regular season game against a losing opponent is what the WNBA has communicated is the institutional cost of fist to the throat contact against its most commercially significant player on nationally televised basketball. Every player in this league now has that number. Every coaching staff, every opponent preparing for a game against Indiana. The cost is one game. The footage that justifies the one game consequence is sitting on every platform in the basketball internet, and the cost is still one game. The 30th anniversary poster and the one game suspension did not arrive on the same day by accident. They arrived together because they are both expressions of the same institutional orientation, a league that has benefited commercially from one player's presence more than from any other development in its 30-year history, and that continues to make decisions that communicate something other than gratitude for that presence. She is not being treated with any sort of respect whatsoever. Boomer said it on CBS Sports Network. The comment section is going to say it below. Drop your thoughts. The conversation is not over. One game does not close it, it extends it.